Hey there, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Clarity Edge, our weekly Tuesday program at 8:30 p.m. Now, if you're tuning in for the first time, do let me know if you can hear me. Is my sound coming out okay? Because it is quite challenging running this recording from a single computer. So yeah, do let me know. If you happen to be tuning in for the first time, please note that this will be recorded on my YouTube channel as well as a private Facebook page. The details are here at the bottom. So if you happen to be subscribing to them, you will be able to access my database of videos that have been going on for the last couple of weeks. Now, what is Clarity Edge? Clarity Edge is a program that I started when circuit breaker kicked in and everybody got trapped at home. Started making weekly videos every Tuesday based on the different challenges that I encounter throughout the week. Eventually, I got some good comments from some of my friends and concluded that, hey, I guess there are some good things that good things we should share, right? So here we are sharing the good things. What happens? It happens every day at 8 p.m. No, every Tuesday, not every day. Maybe one day it will be every day. But for now, it's every Tuesday, 8 p.m. We'll be sharing about pro tips to help us get better at business development and growth in general. The objective is to help you and I achieve clarity through simplicity, finally getting profitability. All right. So when you're clear, you keep it simple. And when it's simple and clear, you will be able to profit from your interactions, whether or not it's with people or with business. All right. So here we go. What are we going to be talking about today, everybody? We're going to talk about how to make an introduction. All right, so the outline of today's program are as follows. What is an introduction? Okay, what makes an introduction good? Okay, and how can we educate others to help introduce us? And some pro tips that I picked up, in my years of interacting with people. More importantly, the not so good stories that I lost opportunities because I wasn't very well introduced. Now, just sharing from a personal perspective. Okay. So this topic, this section, we're going to talk about what is an introduction. Now, just for the record, personally, I'm extremely sensitive about the way I get introduced to other people. Not because I think I'm a very big guy or I think I'm a very humble guy or anything like that. Because the right or wrong introduction can waste the other party's time. Right, so if you introduce me to your friends, for example, and you're introducing me in either a very inaccurate way or not a very in context way, what it means is that it actually wastes the other person's time when we are talking to each other. Okay, so understand this: when you introduce people, make sure you do it well so that you benefit everybody's time. Right, so let's talk about what is an introduction. Just dive in, okay? Now, there are many definitions, of course. You may search this definition on the internet. They will give you different, very Oxford dictionary definitions. But how I understand introduction is, okay, you introduce something or introduce someone is basically when you add a new element into an existing dynamic in a manner that is relevant to the stakeholders. All right, that's the way you think about an introduction. Okay. Please don't think of an introduction is when you introduce somebody or when you talk about somebody or you describe something. It's not good enough as an explanation because sometimes you don't have that kind of clarity on what you're doing. So introduction is more than just saying, hey, meet Vernon. He's Vernon. Okay, that's not an introduction. Or saying, hey, meet Sarah. Sarah is here to sell you something. That is also not a good way to introduce people. Or hey, meet James. He's quite good at his job, but he's very expensive. Okay, again, not good ways of introducing people. Okay, again, I repeat one more time: is when you introduce a new element into an existing dynamic. Come, let me introduce you to my friends. Many husbands know this. When your girlfriend introduces you to her parents, she's not just introducing you to them per se. Oh, please note there's such a human being on this earth. He's actually introducing you as a potential son-in-law, vice versa, potential daughter-in-law. You're introducing an existing dynamic in a manner that is relevant to the stakeholders. In that case, the stakeholder is the parents. Now, so here are some keywords to break down my definition of in introduction. First definition we're looking at here is adding, okay, which means there's more, okay, you're changing the dynamics by adding something. That means you're adding, there's more things involved. Next, existing, okay. Strangers cannot introduce strangers. Okay, so existing dynamic, right? Now imagine you don't know me, I don't know you, we're walking on the street, and then there's a third party who also don't know me, don't know you. I say, hey, let's introduce each other. Let me introduce the two of you together, but I don't know the two of you. Now that's not introduction. Of course, that on the surface is not introduction, but there is no value being created by the introduction. So I repeat one more time. When you are doing an introduction for other people or for yourself, that particular introduction must create value. Okay, it has to create value. Then it's a good introduction. Okay, next up is we're talking about relevant. Okay, is it valuable? That's what I mentioned just now. And when you make an introduction, it must be valuable. So for example, if you introduce me, hey, please meet my friend Vernon. He is the son of Robin. Who is Robin? Don't know, don't care. So that's not an introduction that is valuable. That's not an introduction that is relevant, okay? Relevant things are valuable. Irrelevant things are not valuable. Make sure you focus on the relevant aspect of the person when you're making the introduction. Next, we'll talk about the stakeholders that are involved in a particular project. So if there's an ongoing project, you introduce somebody into the mix, you're trying to add more resources, opportunities, and dynamics to boost the entire thing to the next level. So that's participation. You wouldn't be introducing somebody to the room that cannot add any value, that cannot add value into the interaction. Of course, we respect everybody as human beings and they all have worth and value, but during certain hours, times, and dates, time is limited. Everybody is trying to achieve a certain objective and agenda. I mean, I wouldn't go to my business meeting and bring along my my 3-year-old nephew into the meeting room, right? And I want to introduce everybody to my 3-year-old nephew. That is not a good way to. That's not that. Yeah, it's an introduction, but not exactly very valuable because not very relevant. Because we're having a business discussion. Don't bring kids into the boardroom. Okay. Oh yeah. So that was this mentioning about stakeholder participation. Basically, what makes an introduction? Basically, what makes an introduction good? All right. You present a person. Okay. Present a person that is relevant and meaningful. Present a person in a relevant and meaningful way that adds value to the existing relationship. Okay, basically you present a person into the whole dynamics in such a way, okay, that it adds value to all the existing relationships. Okay, here's some examples. Hi, these are bad examples. Okay, hi, I'm here to tell you something. Okay, be careful. It's very expensive, but let me try to explain. Okay, if you don't. Okay, if you don't know, you get it, okay, or not. I don't know if you get it or not. Okay, so hi, I'm here to say something. Be very careful. It's very expensive. Let me try to explain. Okay, don't know if you get it or not. I mean, you don't know if you buy it or not. This is a terrible way to choose yourself. Okay. Another example is hi, I'm an accountant. My name is Vernon. I'm an accountant. Okay, you should know what an accountant is, right? Okay, another very bad way of introducing yourself. Would you agree? I mean, these are not exactly the best way of introducing yourself. Hold a sec. Apparently, sometimes managing multiple Zooms or meetings can be quite challenging. Okay, next up. All right. So how are better examples? Okay, another better example is this. This is a good example. Okay. Hi, Vernon here. I help my clients find successes for their businesses from outside their family. I said, oh, that's quite relevant. I mean, assuming I'm talking to business people. So see, you're positioning something that's of value, yet you're not depending too much on their interpretation. Now, if there's one thing you can count on people for, you can count on them misunderstanding you and interpreting you in the wrong way. Truly, right? If you can count on something, you can count. Okay, the few things you can count on in life. Okay, you always can count on things going wrong when you least expected it, and you can always count on people to misunderstand you or misunderstand what you are trying to say. I mean, I just want to tell you a funny story. Okay, this is like fresh story. Okay, fresh story from this afternoon. I was in a meeting, and it's a social enterprise, And another person, and we had somebody was talking to the operation guy of the social enterprise, and the guy said to the social enterprise guy, hey, I want to do a project that is very social. And the guy said, oh, social, we can work with you. What one guy was talking about is social, as in he wants to do a project that has a lot of interaction between people. The other guy, social, means you do something to help the disadvantage of society. Now, they continued the conversation for a bit until we realized that they're talking about completely different things, even though they use exact same words. So understand this, guys. People will always misunderstand you. All right, make sure you're very clear. So I'll share with you some tips on how to introduce yourself in a very highly relevant and valuable way. Like this example, hi, I'm Vernon. I help my clients find successes for their businesses from outside their family. Wow, really? How do you do that? Okay, just a quick tip here. Okay, a good sign to know when people when your introduction is very successful, a good sign is people's response is, oh, how do you do that? If they ask you how do you do that, means they understood your introduction and they are now curious. Now, if they ask you like, oh, what's that? Failed introduction. Okay, so don't say, hey, my name is Vernon. I am a whatever. I'm a Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, complexity. Hey, hi, Louisa. English might not be the most ambiguous language. Because English is the language that we are most familiar with, right? I'm sure there's some languages out there that we do not know of that can be quite complicated. So hi, Louisa. Okay, this example of being relevant in your explanation. Next example, okay. Hi, I'm a HR consultant. I have my clients get the best out of the salary they pay their employees. Then a natural response, oh, how do you do that? Okay, how do you do that is the correct answer when you have said a good introduction. What's that is considered a bad response of your introduction. If they don't even ask any questions, that means you generated zero curiosity and they have just generalized you the wrong way. And yeah, and that's that. So if you tell people like, oh, what do you do? But then, oh, I'm a plumber. Oh, really? Oh, how's business? Okay, bad. Okay, that means you generated no curiosity, generate nothing of interest to them. Okay? Right. So these are some bad examples of how you actually do this introduction game. Now, next point is how can we educate others? Now, introducing yourself is one thing. Okay, you can design a beautiful script to introduce yourself, right? So, hi, I'm Vernon. I help my clients find successes for their business. Okay, that's quite cool, right? But how do we educate other people? Okay, there's a few things you must understand before we talk about educating other people. Number one, okay, they know their network and they know their clients. That means they are in the best position to select the best kind of words to speak to their clients or their network or their prospects or their family members. That means to say, you might choose to speak to your family members in Malay or in Chinese or in Tamil or in whatever language, right? I cannot obviously give you the Malay or the Tamil version. Sometimes can't give you the Chinese version. Right, I will educate you on a perspective, a direction, and a strategy of communication. I will leave it up to you to select the best medium, okay, to have that conversation. Okay, you can choose to speak it in whatever language you want. If you can binary code if you want, but it's my job to equip you. Okay, let's look at how we can educate other people. Now, the first tip, okay, is that you must focus on the value that you create for others, and you must make it relevant. Okay, so I'm an accountant versus I help bosses make better decisions about money, right? That's more relevant because you have bosses, target market, make better decisions about their money, which is something that they all want to do. Okay, next, I'm a copywriter, which is like, what's that? Versus I help my clients sell out their warehouse. That means you sell until they run out of stock. Oh, really? How do you help your clients sell out their stock until the warehouse is empty? But that sounds quite cool. That's how you communicate. Always focus on value. Always focus on the value that you create for your clients. Okay, don't just focus on the name. Okay, because two persons can call themselves architects, but they do very different things. Okay, I've ever heard one of this guy called a brain architect. I was like, what kind of name is brain architect? Oh, he's in the childcare business, and he actually teaches kids some stuff. about stuff. Okay. Next, always equip them with the key pointers to introduce you. So always tell people, okay. So for example, I'll tell people like, okay, I work with listed companies or recently delisted companies. I work with companies who are at the top of their industries. I actually work with and consult with bosses who are running companies that are at the top of their industry. I'm strategic in that way. So I will tell my network, my friends, I only want to work with bosses and businesses that are at the top or if not the very near top of their industry. So I equip you. You can say this in Malay, you can say this in Chinese, in whatever language you want, say it in like broken English or Queen's English, up to you. But I equip you with the key pointers. All right. So let's look at key pointers. What kind of key pointers do I want to equip that you should equip your clients on? First, you can talk about landmark or key projects. Hey, Marina Bay says, hey, the laser, I do one. Something like that. Tell them that, hey, Changi Airport, the tower, the air control tower in aircon, I do one. Whatever. Talk about some landmark or key project that they can make it. So your key pointers, right, are very good because they are very portable. Okay, they're very portable, easy to carry around, easy for Tom, Dick, and Harry to say. Now look at McDonald's. I mean, every one of us have to agree that McDonald's is good business. Okay, you might not agree with a lot of things that McDonald's do, but business is good. And they can scale, they can become very big, and they can be one McDonald's in like every city in the world, nearly every neighborhood, if they choose to be. Why? Because McDonald's can hire anybody, right? You can have low IQ and you can work for McDonald's because, or you can become a PhD guy and you can work for McDonald's. Anybody can work for McDonald's. By anybody, we always look at the lowest entry point, right? So what does that mean? It means, okay, that if you want your business to scale like the way McDonald's scale, your concept or idea must be applicable to even somebody that knows nothing from the industry. He must be able to get it. Okay, I was just coaching this company earlier today, and this company is I won't tell you what product he's selling, okay, but basically he asked for differentiation. So eventually it turns out that he sells his services in a buffet style, whereas other people sell their services in a la carte style. So that turned out to be the difference between the two of them. So that's something that you can talk about, very easy to remember, very viral. Okay, so first point, talk about key projects, okay, key things, right? Hey, the president of Singapore, hey, the spectacle, I do one, solid. Next, talk about key skills or core competencies that you have. So for example, let's say you are very good at digital marketing, very good at PowerPoint, very good at design. So I say, hey, I know how to use Microsoft, but don't go and tell people like, I know how to use email. Last time it was the thing, now it's not a thing. Now you can do video editing, you can do edit action cam, you can do digital marketing. That's quite cool. So talk about your key skills or your core competence. Quite interesting is I was talking to this boss, which I shall not name in case you're watching this the series. This boss, he runs a business, which again won't mention about business, but on weekends he gambles. Okay, he plays 2 sports, which I won't mention what, and he bets on the 2 of them, and he is the player in the sport, and then he bets money behind it. So he always like to joke with me. He says that I run a business, but my core competency is gambling. I gamble everything and anything because I just like gambling. Okay, so okay, that's called core competency. But that example, okay, don't use gambling as a way to spread your message. How I would talk about one of my core key skills is I'm really very effective in using very simple words to communicate very complex ideas. So whenever you meet a boss or a business owner or a product guy and says that, hey, my product, I have to explain one. When you hear we have to explain one, right? Think of Vernon, okay? It's not that the product have to explain it, they don't know how to explain it, or they don't have the vocabulary or the finesse with the vocabulary to explain it. Next up, keep on testimonial. Hey, my friend say after I go to after he went to Vernon's shop, his back no longer pain. Nobody could solve it, but he could solve it. Pain management, quite good. Okay, next one, talk about service abroad. Hey, Vernon, he sell iPhone Pro Max 12 one. All right, talk about product service, okay, that they know. All right, hey, Vernon, can you sell out your warehouse? or Vernon can help you, repair your light switch, in less than X number of days or whatever. So talk about your product or service offering, okay? If the product offering is very straightforward, very direct, and very easy to manage, okay? So these are the key pointers you can use. Landmark, okay? Any landmark stuff you do, any key projects that you do, may not make sense or whatever, or this customer, this client, this big customer, just keep focusing on the landmark projects. Talk about key skills or core competency, very good at writing, very good at video editing, very good at singing, very good at design, very good at drawing, very good at project management, understand how product flows, understand how to do timeline management, understand how to do client servicing or whatever. Talk about the skills they're very good at. Talk about testimonials, like, hey, my this client, after I service him, he told me he have never worked any consultant like you before. You are so incredible. You're worth every dollar. Something like that. Okay? Then talk about, very boring part, which is you're just surprised. You just name it. That's the worst way of marketing. You just name something. Just do no explanation or no hook. Okay, let's talk about pro tips. Dun-dun-dun. Pro tips by Vernon. Okay, so pro tips. What pro tips are we going to talk about? Remember, okay, when it comes to introducing yourself, introducing other people, introducing persons to each other, the ultimate rule, cannot negotiate, must follow, very important, is this. Always make people look and feel good. All right, don't go and say, hey, this guy actually, he what, but actually you can try to talk to him, he can one if he just try hard enough. Please, guys, the world is negative enough and crappy enough and shitty enough. We don't need more nonsense, all right? Always make people look good, focus on the positive, mitigate their shortcomings, but focus on the value they can create. Don't say like, hey, let me introduce you to John. He's very good at carpentry, can fix your broken wardrobe and cabinet. But by the way, he's divorced. What's the point? It is not relevant. Okay. Or by the way, his child failed PSLE 1. Or it's not relevant information. Okay. So please, always make people look and feel good. Next. Never take advantage of the other's ignorance or blind spot to make an introduction. So focus on educating leveling up their ignorance. That means educate them and point out to a blind spot, and they can get enlightened and they will want to work with you longer. Don't be like, hey, he actually don't know anything about digital marketing. Maybe I should bring my friend in, and then after he will just scam the hell out of him. Oh, please. Okay, if you meet up, this world is a small world. Okay, and the phone and digital is very easy. All you need to do is take your information, take your screenshot, take your quotation, take anything, right, and then share it, look us his friends, and then you will look like a real bad guy in the whole story. So don't be silly. Everything you send out, assume the whole world is going to see it. Don't be a cock. Okay, next, work as a team and collaborate instead of only trying to look good at the expense of others. This is something that straight out of my heart. When you're introducing people together, you want to form collaborations together, you want to form teams, form groups, introduce vendors to clients, clients to vendors, or whatever. Focus on making all parties look good. Collaborate. Don't try to make yourself look good by whacking other people. Hey, you see how they do things like that. If I were them, I wouldn't do this kind of thing. This kind of thing is very bad. And you are supposed to be on the same team, please. Oh, let me speak to him, see if there's any other way he would like to do it that is more aligned to us. Speak something sensible, please. Not everybody knows they are doing something wrong, bad. Okay? You need to educate them. Don't pass judgment. Work as a team and collaborate. And never try to look good at the expense of other people. Just understand. Because the moment you try to look good at the expense of other people, guess what? Someone else will attempt to look good at the expense of you. Okay, next point. Talk about introductions and connecting people. Savvy people are attracted to other savvy people, right? If you want to be well connected, you want to make good introductions. And you see, you must take your introductions and questions incredibly seriously. Now, I have experience before last time when I was very flippant about the introductions that I make. That means when I intro people at time, I'm just like, hey, yeah, you don't want to meet, it's good, just go and meet. You'll see anything happen. So after a while, right, what's going to happen is that your reputation will be known a little bit shit, okay, a bit shite. Okay, what's going to happen is that after a while, whenever you make a phone call and try to connect people, nobody will take what you say seriously. Okay, because you were not sincere or serious or never put due diligence in qualifying. Because if you make a bad introduction, right, you waste both of the person's time. You, one person, waste two persons' time. Very bad, not recommended, no. So that's an example of bad introduction they're making for people. Okay, if you want to become savvy, you want to attract savvy people, you yourself must become savvy. Now, what's the meaning of savvy? When you're savvy, you consider many relevant data points before you make a particular decision. That's called savvy, ma. This is they call a savvy investor. This guy knows how to invest, ask good questions, focus on the right KPI. Amateur investor just say, hey, make money, I go. Don't even know whether it's right or wrong, just follow. So when you want to be savvy, you want to attract savvy people, you must behave like a savvy person. Be very particular of the time and the space that you're doing, the time and space or you're operating in, making sure you don't waste the time and space of other people. All right. So these are the pro tips that I'd like to share with you guys regarding making introductions with each other. Always make people look good and feel good. Never take advantage of their ignorance or their blind spot or spots. Okay, and look at the team. Okay, do not try to look good at the expense of others, because one day your team or lack thereof team will come back and bite you. The news of your so-called bad action and behavior will spread in the market so fast you can't even contain it. Sometimes saying sorry and retracting your words won't even be enough. Next thing, if you want to be surrounded by savvy people, you will attract savvy people. You yourself must look, talk, walk, feel like a savvy person, and they will be attracted to you. Just want a quick touch up regarding making introductions. Okay, make sure when you're making introductions, do not just state your title and your description of what you do. Make sure you phrase it in a way that's relevant to a specific target market. It might be the person you're talking to. It might not be the person you're talking to. So if I'm an interior designer, I will probably tell you, hey, I help my clients find magic space out of nowhere to help store their large Hermes bag collection. Now, the client I'm talking to, you might not be in a situation like that. You might be a single guy, completely irrelevant point to you, but you might know some aunties, uncles, ex-girlfriends, and sisters who are in a situation where they don't even have space to store all of their XXX bags. Okay, then they can create a kind of connection, and then they can introduce you. Hey, Vernon, here's a guy that can create space out of nowhere to help all these tie-ties store their bags. You can talk like this, you can say like this, and it becomes sense. Remember, guys, a good introduction is an introduction that helps make people more relevant to the people they are being introduced to. Okay, make sure you do your job, know all the three parties or two parties before you make an introduction, so that the chance of success is much higher, and you'll be known as a very sincere connector of people, and make great instructions for others. And by that definition, they will make some good instructions for you. All right. Thank you for making the time on another Tuesday evening for hanging out with us. All right. So I look forward to seeing you guys next week as we talk about more concepts that will deal with clarity, have true simplicity, and ultimately achieving profitability. Now, again, if you're doing it for the first time, do me a solid, please. Head over to my Facebook, YouTube channel, and do subscribe if you like what I'm saying, because your subscription will help me reach a point where I can change my YouTube channel name so it looks so it's easier for people to type and looks nice, of course. So you can just type youtube.com/clarityh. So please, if you watch to this point, please head over to YouTube and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you all so much, and I will see you again for next episode on Tuesday next week. See ya.